In mythologies, Roland Barthes argued that the Tour de France was an epic ritual as much as it was a sporting event. For Barthes, the race, which set off from the village of Noy-Mauthiery-en-Lisle in northwest France last Saturday, traversed a veritable Homeric geography, providing a way to map a nation and celebrate the heroic tenacity of those who cycled through it. Books about racing have tended to focus on the physical suffering endured by the long-distance road cyclist and often on their chemical aids. As early as 1902, the experimental playwright and novelist Alfred Jarry, who ISED French Literary Society by wearing his cycling outfit to the poet Stéphane Mallarmé's funeral, described the way in which competitive cycling reduced riders to machines. His absurdist, whimsical novella The Supermarlé describes a race between a group of cyclists and a train. The riders are fueled by a cocktail of drugs and one dies during the race, but, being legally contracted to finish it, his body is obliged to carry on cycling. Team Sky during the team time trial stage, 9 July 2018, in Cholet. Photograph, Tim de Wyla, Getty Images. The finest account of the introverted suffering of bicycle racing, and one of the greatest sporting novels ever written, is the Dutch novelist Tim Krabbe's The Rider, a first-person description of a semi-professional, one-day race, recounted kilometre by kilometre. Krabbe is a cyclist and also a championship chess player, and HES exceptionally good on the tactics and mind games involved. In The Rider, the race becomes a duel between the narrator and another rider. It's also a book about obsession. Non-races, the narrator thinks, as he surveys the crowd of race spectators. The emptiness of those lives shocks me. Dervla Murphy in India. At its best, cycling, like bicycle writing, provides a way of encountering familiar places in new and surprising ways. It is by riding a bicycle that you learn the contours of a country best, wrote Ernest Hemingway, since you have to sweat up the hills and coast down them. Two of the best books to celebrate this kind of discovery are Dervla Murphy's Full Tilt, Ireland to India with a Bicycle, her classic account of a ride undertaken in 1963, armed with her bicycle, named Roz, and a pistol, and Emily Chappell's What Goes Around. Chappell's book is a memoir of the years she worked as a bicycle courier, a difficult and dangerous job often thought to be dominated by men. She writes beauty about the freedom provided by cycling and the way in which riding a bike allowed her to rediscover both the London she thought she knew, and also herself. While not a sports writer, the historian Graham Robb conducts much of his research from the saddle. His Cols and Passes of the British Isles is a loving, obsessive almanac of the 2002 true cols, the lowest point between two mountains and 105 passes in the UK. In The Discovery of France he pedalled across Hexagony, sticking to the back streets and cobbled country roads that he would have missed had he driven a bicycle. He writes in his warm, rich and fascinating book, unrolls a 360-degree panorama of the land, allows the rider to register its gradual changes, and makes it hard to miss a single inch of it, from the tire-lacerating suburbs of Paris to the Mistral-blasted plains of Provence. If only the riders of the Tour have time to notice. John Day's Cyclogeography, Journeys of a London Bicycle Courier is published by Notting Hill Editions.